is Nurse Annie again, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be talking about COVID-19. This is a pandemic that's been going on for almost 2 years already, and it doesn't seem that it's going away soon. We definitely notice some decline, but in some parts of the world, it's still rising like anything. So many or millions or even millions of people around the world have already passed away because of this. And so many are still suffering because of this coronavirus. And perhaps many of us, or maybe most of us, have already been through this. And actually, I am one of those who have been through the effects of this coronavirus. So today, I'm gonna be sharing with you all about my COVID-19 journey. But first of all, I just would like to thank everyone who extended their well wishes, everybody who called me, who texted me, who chatted me, just everyone who helped me feel that I was not alone in prayers. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you once again. Anyway, this actually happened to me last year, and I realize now that it's almost a year past when I contracted the disease. I think it was the end of August when I had this, and this is actually the first time that I am making a video about it, with the hopes that some will learn, and actually for those of you who are suffering right now, will inspire you to get better. They say that behind the cloud is the sun. Let us not allow COVID-19 to take away our strength. Let us not allow this to win the battle. We have to fight. We have to fight to win. So how did it actually happen? I can vividly remember the events that happened before I actually feel that I have to go to the emergency department already. So I went to the emergency department actually on the 27th of August. 2020, but then days before that, or even weeks before that, I can vividly remember that I was already telling my colleagues that I was not feeling well, or that I have already the feeling that I will be having the COVID-19. I was actually having colds, and I had a sore throat. So I was actually telling them already that, oh my gosh, please, not COVID, please. I was already joking with them about it. And because I was not already feeling well that time, I had sore throat, as I've said, I was really drinking continuously hot tea during my shift. Every shift that I will go, I was really trying to take steps just to, prevent this COVID-19. Drinking hot tea, doing my hand washing, all those hand washings and all the precautions. I was so scared that time. I was so scared. When I started to, feel like I'm already having sore throat, I was already scared because of my son. I was not actually scared for myself. I was scared most especially to my son, that I will be bringing home that COVID, and he will be contracting the disease and all. Oh my gosh, I cannot just tell you how scared I was that time. But then each day that passes, it's just like I feel like I'm getting worse and worse and worse. So on August 27th, I said to myself, this is not right. This is not already right. I am having colds. I am having sore throat. I did not had any appetite to eat. It's just like I feel that I already have fever. I had chills, but when I checked my temperature, I did not actually had fever. I did not had any cough that time. So I was already having chills that time. So I was just really scared. So in short, in August 27th, I said, it's really time to, to go to the emergency department. So I called my sister to take, my son. You have to take my son because I am going to the ED. So apart from me being so scared actually for my son, adding the fact that my sister actually just gave birth also with her baby. Oh my gosh, it's like a double trouble already. I think her baby was just a week old or 2 weeks that time. But then I had nowhere to go, nobody else to call but my sister. So my sister actually said that I have to let my baby also be tested for COVID-19 because they are taking care. Of course, she is also scared for her baby. That baby is just a week old or 2 weeks old, as I've said. And so, of course, naturally, she would also be scared for that baby too. So she told me that I have to take my son with me to be tested as well. So you know, just to be sure that he would be negative and all. So he wouldn't be spreading the virus to them as well, isn't it? So in short, we went to the emergency room and me and my son was actually tested. But the problem that time was the COVID test results would be out after 3 days. So when we were in the emergency room, I was not really feeling good. I was not really feeling well already. But in emergency department, of course, they had to insert a cannula for me. They had to give me IV boluses. They had to draw bloods for me for testing. However, as I've said, we have to be tested. Both of us had to be tested for COVID-19. So in short, we stayed in the emergency room for a couple of hours. I think it was 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We were discharged from emergency department. So when we were discharged from that emergency department, of course, my son went straight with my sister. And of course, I drive alone home because of course I'm also scared. I just want my baby away from me already. Even before that ED consultation, I just want him away from me because I don't want him to contract that COVID-19 in case. But I was actually sure I already have that COVID. So I just want him away from me already. So in short, they took him with them and I went home alone. So of course, I stayed alone for how many days? Oh my gosh. And in those days and in those few days that I was alone here at home, oh my gosh, I suffered, as in suffered like anything. I couldn't eat even water. I cannot even drink water because I will throw up. I was already throwing up greenish color because there's nothing to throw up. I cannot even take in water. Everything that goes into my mouth will go straight out. That's how sick I was that time. For a few days that I was alone at home, really. I was just miserable. Okay, so after 3 days, I think it was August 30, when they called me from the hospital telling me that the result of the COVID-19 swab test was positive. Oh my gosh. I was not actually really surprised because I was actually expecting already that I have COVID-19, you know, basing on the signs and symptoms that I am exhibiting. And I know, of course, I know. I know the signs and symptoms that I am feeling that it is really COVID-19. So yes, they confirmed that I have really COVID-19. And with that call, they also told me that I cannot already go to work. I have to quarantine for 14 days. They advised me to do this, to do that. Be sure that your son would be like this, your son is like that, you know, all those things that they have told me. So anyway, so of course, I continued to stay, you know, at home alone. I still cannot eat. I still cannot, even the medications that I have to take for my fever, I still throw it up, you know, it's just nothing. That's everything that goes into my mouth comes out immediately. So I just force myself to eat anything, drink anything, even though I will throw up everything that comes into my mouth. I cannot do anything rather than, you know, doing nothing. I tried, but you know, after a few days, I was literally crawling the floor because I was too weak already. And that time I also already started coughing, but it's non-productive. And that actually made it worse because I cannot spit anything and it's very dry. So my chest, my belly is already very, very painful because of coughing. So apart from I cannot eat, I cannot drink, I have sore throat, I have colds, I have cough. I already have fever. Oh my gosh, all the signs and symptoms you can think of. The only thing that I didn't had actually was diarrhea. I did not had any diarrhea when I had my COVID. But then it went on for days because I was hoping that I will get better. Every time I will think that I will go to the hospital, I just thought that no, I will get better. I will start doing this. I will start getting up and walking because as I've said, I was literally crawling already on the floor to do something. I almost cannot even go to the bathroom to pee. That's how weak I was then, if you can just imagine. But anyway, after a few days, I think it was September 3, when I decided, oh my gosh, I need to go to the hospital already. I will die. I will die. If it will continue for days, I will die. The good thing though is I did not had any problems with my breathing. I mean, I did not had any shortness of breath or any shortness of breath on exertion, anything like that. Maybe if I could have checked my oxygen saturation, then maybe it was still okay because I did not had any, problems with my breathing, as I've said. So anyway, after a few days, I think it was September 3 when I decided I have to go to the hospital. Otherwise, I will die. So in short, they called 911 for me. So I was brought to the hospital via EMS. However, in the ambulance, they had a hard time. Since when I was in the ambulance, they had a hard time to insert a cannula. I was really dehydrated. I was perhaps 99.9% dehydrated. They cannot really find a vein. I think I was stuck in the ambulance, just in the ambulance. I was stuck 4 times by the EMS and they couldn't insert a cannula so that they can give me fluids because I was really dehydrated. And when we reached ED, even the nurse in ED couldn't even get an IV for me. Oh my gosh. Not to brag, but I think I'm very good in IV insertion. So when they were stucking me, they were poking me here, there in emergency department. I almost nearly told them, can I just be the one to insert IV for myself? Because really they cannot draw blood because they cannot find a vein, nothing. I was really dehydrated that they couldn't find a vein even just to draw blood for tests. So I think in ED I was stuck 10 times before they could insert an IV line for me. How many nurses tried, but then oh my gosh, I was stuck almost 10 times if I'm not mistaken, just for that IV. So in short, in ED they gave me boluses, I think 2 bags of fluids. They started me on antibiotics. They've given me Tylenol because I had fever when I went there. Of course, they gave me cough medicine. And actually, even in emergency department, I nearly couldn't swallow the pills because I was very nauseated. So antiemetics were given. I cannot already remember everything that they gave me in emergency department that time. And because I was really weak when I went to the hospital, they had to use a bedpan when I peed in emergency department. Imagine. I cannot even walk to the bathroom just to pee because I was literally weak, very, very weak. I cannot just stress out how weak I was when I went to ED. But as I've told you, I was literally crawling the floor when I was here at home. So how much more in emergency department? Anyway, I stayed in emergency department. They gave all the treatments, the boluses and everything. And they asked me that I have to be admitted. So of course, in short, I was admitted in the hospital. Of course, needless to say, I was admitted on the same floor, on the same COVID floor I was working at. But the good thing is, even if I was admitted in the hospital then, the good thing was I did not had any respiratory issues or I did not had any respiratory problems when I had COVID. So I did not need any oxygen. I was breathing spontaneously on room air. They did not even need to have me on continuous pulse oximetry. So respiratory was not an issue for me then. So anyway, of course, naturally, when I was admitted in the hospital, all the COVID-19 protocol medications and treatments were given to me. So anyway, when I was admitted, of course, initially in the first day, I still had that nausea and vomiting. But then eventually I started eating. I actually remember what I was only eating when I was admitted initially in the hospital on the first and second day was pudding, because that's the only food that I am able to take in. Otherwise, I will throw up everything. Literally, I will throw up everything. But that pudding, slowly though, slowly, I started, gaining my appetite. And on the third day, I remember one of my colleagues actually bought me food like rice and fish. So, because I started gaining some appetite, still not, 100%, but at least I can take in something already. So I tried to take in that rice, because I know my stomach. I am Asian and I know my tummy is used to, eating rice. So I tried to eat that rice even without anything, just rice. And slowly, that dinner, I ate some. And then in the breakfast again, I tried again. And, slowly I gained my appetite. But meanwhile, while I was slowly gaining my appetite, I started feeling like a little stronger, but still my cough is still there. It's still very dry, and it's just like becoming worse and worse and worse. Even the PRN cough medicines, I was already asking it regularly, hoping that that cough will go away. But then it's still there. I just couldn't feel better with regards to that cough. So anyway, on that third day, the doctor told me that if I will still be afebrile for 24 hours, then I could be discharged the next day. So in short, on the fourth day, I was discharged from the hospital. I was not 100% feeling okay, but at least, at least I feel much, much better than when I went to the hospital. So that's a good thing for me. So anyway, on the fourth day, I was discharged, and the doctor actually told me that I still have to quarantine myself even I'm at home. So I had to do that for days. I think 2 weeks more before I could even get back to work. Because if you will have COVID, they won't be retesting you for COVID-19 again. So the indication that you can get back to work actually after COVID infection is if you don't have any of the signs and symptoms already. So I did not had any fever. I gained a little bit of my appetite already. But I still had quarantined myself for, I think, 2 weeks more before I got back to work that time. In the meanwhile, while I was on quarantine, after my discharge, the only way I can see my son is through a camera. Of course, they had to set up a camera here in the, outside the room, because I had to stay in the room only. I cannot go out. You know what they did? They will just put my food, outside the door and I will just take that, because I cannot go out. I was also scared to go out, because I don't want to infect anyone. I don't want anyone to contract that infection, So I stayed in that room for how many days? Of course, I did not just lie there in the room for a few days. Of course, I had to do some home remedies as well. I did steaming. I drank, hot tea, hot water, and everything hot. Because, they said coronavirus is sensitive to hot. So with that in mind, I was thinking that at least it will help if I will drink only hot. But anyway, after I think 7 days, of course, I regained more strength. My cough is less already. I did not had any fever. Then I started, to go out in the porch only, because I said this cannot, it won't work if I will just stay in the room. So I started going out. But of course, you know what I did just for me to, to be able to carry my son, to talk to my son? I got our mask, the mask that we use at work, that big mask. I got that home, and that's what I used whenever I wanted to see my baby or I wanted to talk to my baby. So I used that. Imagine. So anyway, I still had to, do all the precautions because I'm just so scared. I was so scared. I was very, very scared that time for my baby. It's not for myself. I was already feeling better, but then I was still so scared for my baby. So I still had to do all the precautions. I still had to observe all the precautions that I can just to protect my baby, and the people around me. So, and then of course, after a few days again, after many, many days in quarantine, then my cough was gone. Of course, I started to take off that mask already when I'm with my baby. I started carrying him up. I started playing with him until I got really better, that I thought that I was already ready to go back to work. So I think after 14 days or even more, I'm not sure, because I had a total of 6 weeks leave when I had that coronavirus infection. Oh my gosh. You see, a month and a half not having work just because of that COVID-19. Imagine. That's a very, very unfortunate event for me, but it is what it is. But I still thank God until today and perhaps forever that my son never had any, even a single sign and symptom of COVID. I just pray every day that me, my son, or anybody will never ever have COVID again, or any diseases for that matter, or any infection for that matter. I was, as I've said, I was working in a COVID unit, and of course we have all the PPEs, all the protective equipments that we use, the masks, the gloves, the gowns, the headgears and everything. But still, I had that infection, you see. So friends, I wish you keep safe and just take care of yourself and the people around you. And let's all pray that this pandemic will end, and so that we can get back on our normal lives, normal everything. This pandemic has not only taken millions of lives, but the world's economy as well. Our work, businesses, our opportunities, just everything. Let us work together for the good of everyone. Let us help even in our own little ways. As I've said, this has almost been a year, but I just want others to learn also from my story. So friends, I hope you have learned a thing or two, even though it's kinda, depressing, but I still hope that, for those of you who are suffering the same right now, I still hope that this video inspired you to get better so that we all can get back to our normal lives. So anyway, friends, I just want to thank everyone for watching. From the bottom of my heart, I'm just so thankful, and I really appreciate your support. Thank you again for watching, and see you again on my next video. Thank you.